And welcome back, everybody, once again to the PCS Summer Split Playoffs, baby. We're in the first series. It's Type AJ team taking on Megabank Beyond Gaming. However, Megabank Beyond Gaming got the upset win over them in game number 1 here, and we'll see how this next one goes. But before we do, I do want to take a moment to shout out our wonderful sponsor, CTBC Bank, and of course, our new sponsor. We're flying high this playoffs with China Airlines. Thank you so much for making the PCS possible. Now, Clement, it was a bit of a shocker in game number 1, the way and the thoroughness that J-Team lost that one. But they've made a few changes, notably in that top lane. We got Rock back, baby.
Yeah, this is a top laner that they played with far more in the split earlier on. And I'm very curious on what style he's going to go for, because throughout most of the split, he's been playing these blind side blue champions. The Gangplank was a special favorite of him, but the meta has changed a bit, and I do wonder if J-Team are going to go in a different direction. Like we talked about in the draft, we think that their best answer was actually to first pick Sivir in that situation, and then to pick up the LeBlanc later on. Now we're going to see Rock here with the swiggly sign behind him, stepping up to the plate.
Yep, a little bit of a rotation in on this one. We'll see if he can be the secret sauce to the rest of Type A J-Team. I do think blue side blind pick, it's something that served them well in the past, but that patch change does mean they might have to find something a little bit different here. I would love to see if they couldn't try and force it out a little bit earlier on and just say, all right, come at me, Lee Kai, do your worst. For Kongye, I think it's going to be important for him to get on more of a comfortable champion, because I don't say this often, I don't think he felt very comfortable on Xin Zhao.
No, he didn't. I feel like Kongye needs to be much more of a playmaker for this team. In the past, we just haven't seen all that many engages that have came from the top lane. Type A J-Team have not played with Driver throughout most of this split. For the most part, it has been Kongye going in first, and Enzo has been playing a lot more of the Enchanters. So I just feel like in terms of the initiation, they were starting on kind of an odd foot right there. Xin Zhao was much more of a counter-engaged champion meant to keep the LeBlanc and the Camille back. So maybe this is going to be something they're a little bit more comfortable with. At least I don't see them making the same sort of blatant TP mistakes that they had with Driver.
Yeah. Now, let us remind everyone, this is our number 3 seed, who did lose to Megabank Beyond Gaming in the final week of play in the regular split. But they did lose that tiebreaker to Deep Cross Gaming, and that's the reason they're here facing off against Megabank Beyond Gaming today and not already in the top 2 brackets. So, for Beyond Gaming, they got to be feeling pretty happy with how all of that went down. Lee Kai cracking a smile, making some jokes. This team certainly had the execution. The clutch factor came in. We'll see if they can do it again. I loved their drafting because they just gave themselves so many tools. Some of them were gifted over. I mean, Minji out of the lane phase on a killless LeBlanc looked fantastic at just peppering J-Team with damage. Husha, Lee Kai getting the final kills. I think if you're J-Team, you got to consider taking that Wukong away, and you got to consider banning the LeBlanc.
I just feel like J-Team didn't disrupt any strategy from Beyond Gaming. They had the best wave clear. Mid laner, you want to play with the 1-3-1 Sivir. They set up for it with the bans in the Kalista and the Lucian, and then they got counterpick solo lanes. So very comfortable way to play for Beyond Gaming. They love the 1-3-1. They love the pick and flank composition that they've done with. On the meantime, J-Team are not really the team that excels at front to back. The way J-Team have been winning their games has been a domination through their bottom side and their mid side. They're much more of a win lane sort of team, and then you go into the brawls. I wouldn't say necessarily that their team fight is their strongest selling point. So I feel like for Type A J-Team, most important thing is you still want to set up a strong win condition in your mid or in your bot. One of those has to come true, and then you ride off of that into the mid game.
Yeah, and you can certainly try to go for a snowballing composition. It's not something that we've seen as often ever since the durability patch, but 12.14 changes that somewhat. LeBlanc could be taken by Uniboy, for instance. I think there's a lot of opportunity here for them to try and snowball their way to victory, but we need to see some faster play. Kongye needs to be on a playmaker. Rock certainly should be able to hold his own against Lee Kai, but you're already finding yourselves down 1 game in this best-of-5 series, and given that to a lot of people you look like the favorites, that pressure starts to build.
Yeah, and I will say that J-Team definitely has been a team in the past. Has kind of been known for a team that doesn't always perform to their standards in the postseason. That has been kind of a J-Team curse, if I'm being completely honest. But hopefully they've been able to overcome this. I want them to talk more, feel cheery a little bit more, and just go out and play. I feel like that's the biggest issue with a lot of teams when they start to go fall behind, is they start to play more careful. And I feel like that would be the wrong option for Taipei J-Team. I feel like with their personnel, with their strengths in terms of the laning phase, what they should be trying to do is just trust in yourselves, trust in your abilities, and play low to the ground. Play with the 12.14 sort of tempo and try to smash one of these lanes, either in the bot or the mid jungle.
Yeah, I think mid jungle is probably one of your best bets, just considering Kongi and Uniboy just have such great synergy together. But you need to be able to actually smash a hole in Beyond Gaming early on to try and snowball that way to victory. I do want to remind everybody, though, that Taipei J-Team are one of the few teams in our league that did manage to take a game off every other team. So they've always got the potential upside. But you nailed it when you talked about this team and their cautiousness. They do tend to turtle up a little bit when they've faced down a loss. And one of the reasons their post games don't always go to plan is things like that. I'd love to see the opposite happen. I'd love to see them find some strength to just come out of the gate swinging in the early game as we are getting ready to get into the game, get into the pick and ban. It does seem like we have a little bit of time to kill as the players are testing out some stuff on the headsets. We'll let you know exactly what's going on when we hear about it.
So I think Beyond Gaming are probably going to change their draft a little bit. They're not going to ban both options in Kalista and Lucian, would be my guess. Because if they do, then I think Taipei J-Team just instantly takes up the Sivir. And if it's a Sivir versus Zeri composition, I'm not sure that Beyond Gaming are going to be exactly happy with having the Zeri on the second pick here. So my guess is that Beyond Gaming will likely leave one of these champions up and continues to ban the Poppy. That'd be my guess, but for now, J-Team is going to keep everything relatively the same. The Gwen goes out and the Silas.
I don't know if the Gwen is super bannable when you're trying to focus on maybe shutting down somebody like Minji. I do like this changeup though with the LeBlanc. They get rid of that one instead of going for the first pick themselves. I do wonder if Uniboy just doesn't want to play it.
Yeah, this is interesting. I would think that Uniboy would be very comfortable on the LeBlanc. It's something that he definitely played in the LPL before. And we now see that with the both top lane priority off, the biggest question here is, okay, Taliyah and Sivir. I think those become the two big champions left here. J-Team might want to deny the Taliyah instead, because they still have a Zeri against a Sivir. I'm not entirely sure about this. Minji is very capable on the Taliyah for sure. But I almost feel like the Sivir has been, you know, kind of the more important champion throughout most of the meta.
That's a higher prio, at least for Beyond Gaming, and I think it probably should be for J-Team as well, especially given the fact that Beyond Gaming have consistently been throwing two bans at Lil B, like recognizing that Kalista has huge upside and that the Lucian Nami potentially rolls their lane. So they give themselves another good matchup. I think we'll probably see the Zeri into it again. There's always a few other options, but Beyond should be pretty happy about this, at least in the bottom side of the map. And Husha, yet again, is going to get an opportunity to monkey around. This will be his 10th pickup with the champion on the split.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, you know, don't fix it. So I feel like J-Team, they really need to have one of these strong side lanes here. I want to see what they have in store for the Sivir pick. What you want to do with the Taliyah is you want to roam bot. You want the back cut-offs here. So the Vi is going to be selected. And, okay, Zeri has to come in here. And for Beyond Gaming, this is interesting because they do have the Yone. I wonder if they go for that. That's a very strong pick against Taliyah. Also something Minji plays. I don't think the Orianna really cuts it, though.
Yeah, I think they might just be holding that on the hover. Another thing well, never mind. Okay.
I've been wrong so many times.
I mean, like Orianna, here's the thing about Orianna, right? Like, she kind of can sort of just about fit into any composition, but she never feels like your first choice.
Yeah, I think this is a very slow and actually very vulnerable pick against what J-Team has. You know, Taliyah hits one of those seismic shoves. Orianna could find herself in a lot of trouble. Orianna can counter back, but the thing is, her counter has to revolve around her ultimate, where Taliyah can kind of just You know, once she gets a flick, then you're kind of just done for.
I mean, it is a wombo combo, right? If you think about the Cyclone into the Shockwave, if you can catch 3 people on that and then just wail away at them, you've got like you can certainly end fights before they begin. So there is upside there, but I mean, J Team are gonna have to walk face first into that.
Yeah, and you can see the support bans are already very much revolving around the bot side. J Team taking away champions that can prevent that bot lane dive, while Beyond Gaming also taking away the Alistar, which is probably the strongest support against something like a Sivir here. I think, you know, Beyond Gaming would be very happy with something like a Nautilus, while J Team could still be looking at that Yuumi. The Yuumi comp would fit quite nicely here.
Guy playing around with some top lane picks, and no, not gonna happen just yet. That Nautilus does come in. That makes a lot more sense. They'll grab the Nautilus away from themselves. J Team, let's think what they've got left to try and pick in the support role. I mean, they could go for something less tanky. Renata Glaska's been up, and there it is. Ooh, oh wait, I almost forgot about the Amumu. Oh, there's options. There's options here.
Yeah,
that's Renata. Okay, I actually really like this.
Renata, another one of those champions that actually has a really good tower dive. Like, once you can shove the wave in, then there's not a whole lot that the enemy can do. And you can actually force the enemy bottom lane to give up the wave just with the threat of the Talia roaming. So, definitely works out in that way. And, of course, Enzo has the most Renata games of any player in the PCS. I would say he's the best Renata that we've seen actually so far, despite only having a few splits on the support role. I like J Team's comp. This one runs really smoothly. You know what they want to do. It's, you know, you run forward at your enemy. You try to get these picks early on into the bot side and shut down Wako.
Makes a lot of sense, given that Wako kind of ran train last time around. So beyond the last answer is what's Lekai going to do? He's into a Sejuani. He can give himself a winning matchup. This Fiora is huge priority. They've got it. They've got a side lane threat, and that does give Beyond Gaming a pretty beastly 1-3-1 should they want it. But at the same time, or even 4-1 maybe, but at the same time, like, J Team are okay losing this because Sejuani, you don't need to win the lane because you're going to be making impact everywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this is, I would say Beyond Gaming, this time they have a very much a late game strategy where the scaling from Sivir and Fiora will overwhelm the opponent in the late game. But I'm not sure how they plan to survive in the early game. What I see out of J Team is once they hit level 6, you just run at Ninja, you try to kill him, and then you save the Talia ultimate for the bot side. Like, the game plan is very simple for J Team to execute. Well, I don't think there are a ton of good answers on the side of Beyond Gaming to really prevent that early game power spike. So I feel like Beyond Gaming this time will be on more of a late game strategy than the previous game.
Right, not to be riding out that early to see if they can survive. I would like to see what happens in this early game, especially, as you mentioned, when the ultimates come through. Kongye is going to be pretty active. I mean, we saw him on Avaya a handful of times. He had one bit of floundering attempt against PSG, but I think it worked out a lot better the next time around. And yeah. I think you've added some tankiness too, which compensates for the fact that you're not going to have as much of a tank support. I really like this draft at a J Team. I think that they have a lot of mobility. They have a lot of playmaking across the map. And the clutch factor to me is going to be that hostile takeover. Because we talked a little bit about the Wombo combo potential, but what happens if you start dishing out a ton of damage to your own team instead? And that is always a flip. And when Enzo's piloting this champion, you have to keep in mind.
Yeah, it's a great counter to the sort of engage comp that we have from the side of Beyond Gaming. Now that I think about it, Renata does fit more and more. No, I was thinking about the Yuumi because we've seen so many Yuumi Vi sort of combinations, but Renata is definitely one of those champions where Enzo can feel a little bit more comfortable with. And, you know, coming into this one, I'm really surprised with Lekai. I feel like Lekai in the back end of the split massively improved. His stats in the final week are absolutely bonkers, and he played that same Fiora against Rock in the final game there as well to a win. So this is a champion we know that he can pilot quite well. It's a high skill floor champion, absolutely, and we have seen a lot of Fioras just flounder early game against the Sejuani because it's so easy to just gank and kill you. But this time around, I feel like Lekai's definitely hit his stride. You know, something's happened to him.
Yeah, I think so. He's certainly been leveling up as well. And Beyond Gaming as a whole have really gotten it together in the back half of the split in the second round robin. But I think Lee Kai's been a big part of that. We haven't really seen Leon come back in. And I mean, there's a reason. Because this guy is a boss, as Rock and Lee Kai just trade a little bit level 1. Just some love taps. Vitals, not going to be procced on the opposite side. We'll have to keep an eye, though, on the jungle. I think Husha will be able to have an impact a little earlier than Kongye will, but there's still that gap close. There's still the Vault Breaker. And Kongye, I think, could do a little cheeky level 3 gank here or there. You don't need to focus mid lane. It's an Orianna. Should be all about that bot lane or all about shutting down Lee Kai.
And, you know, looking at Beyond Gaming, it's really about that wombo combo that they can pull off. You know, if they can get someone with the Shockwave into the Cyclone, and have the Ricochet on at the same time, that's going to wipe out everyone, basically. So if they are able to catch that onto Zeri or Talia, that's almost an instant win in the team fight. That's going to be a huge moment for them. But in the meantime, J-Teams, I think their game plan is much more procedural. You know, it's about running down this bottom side with the Weaver's Wall, getting a big lead off of that bottom lane, or just killing Orianna over and over again. As we see Minji, you know, coming in with the TP, doesn't have the cleanse right there. It's going to be quite easy for J-Team to execute that level 6 all in.
Ooh. You know, it does find a little V, but nothing doing to follow through there. And yeah, I like that you talked about how this is a procedural comp, because that is J-Team's comfort zone. They are the A+ honor student, right? They're the team that studies. They're the team that builds the game plan. And as long as things go according to plan, it's good.
Yeah.
Contrast that to Beyond Gaming. They're the guys that stay up all night to study for the test and somehow pass it by remembering all of the answers at the exact right moment.
Yeah, Beyond Gaming
approaches to League of Legends.
They're our clutch team. You know, you don't really expect them to come out most of the times. You look at their drafts and you're like, well, this is so hard to execute. But they're still able to do it anyway. They're very interesting. I feel like Beyond Gaming has a ton of limitations, but they have learned how to play around those to a very high degree, and that's what makes them so compelling to watch. They're definitely one of my favorite teams to watch, I would say, in the PCS. I'll just go ahead and say, like, my favorite 2 teams to watch is Beyond Gaming and Frank. Like, they're not your quote-unquote best teams, but they're fun.
Well, I mean, if you ask Nightstar, I think, you know, at least one of those will be, but we'll have to see. I mean, so far, he's winning the prediction goal. We'll have to see how it holds up, and Rock going to be under fire here in that top side up against Lee Kai. Would like to have some backup. I wanted to talk a little bit about the junglers too, because that full information early on was gained from where they were starting, but it didn't stop trying to get involved. Lil V gets hooked by Kino on the dredge line. Enzo can always threaten, though. He plays around this Renata handshake incredibly well. I think that's one of those small things easy to overlook when you talk about like things like the bailout or the hostile takeover at level 6. Enzo is probably our best Renata player for sure. And he knows
definitely has the
inside
most games on it for sure. But I will say Kino's been doing a really good job in these laning phases. As Rock gets ganked.
Yeah, he does. I think this is going to be first blood here as he tries to limp away, but going to be taken by Lee Kai, and Husha making the trip up topside nets results. And Lee Kai's off to the races.
Yeah, and Rock really couldn't do that at that angle. That was a bit of a give me to Husha, you know? He was at the right place at the right time. He didn't really have to travel too far off of his gank path for that one either, you know? It's just a straight clear towards the top side. He gets some wards down and then just catches out Rock onto that position. And if we look at this situation, that wave is still pushing out. So Beyond Gaming has to cover Rock. As you see Kongra now drawn towards the top side.
Yeah, I think Rock's feeling a little unsteady, actually. Missed some easy farm there. Konge is going to be able to take his Gromp, but if he tries to go upriver, he's going to be spotted by just so many Beyond Gaming wards. So Sejuani's still going to be relevant in the later stages of the game, but that's not the issue. It's the fact that Lee Kai snowballing is going to be a big pain in the butt.
Absolutely, and no, I think Fiora has gone up the priority this patch by quite a decent chunk. Sustain going down across the board. You get some good poke in. That really starts to stick. Now Husha heading towards the bottom side.
Oh, man, that wraparound's going to be absolutely brutal as they just snap the trap shut. Enzo flashes away. Lil V is going to Spark Surge the wall, and they'll cut their losses. But that's going to be another kill for Beyond, this time bottom side. Already things looking good yet again.
And that was just a little bit too easy, you know. Little V, I almost feel like that flash was slightly wasted right there. It wasn't really aimed for him. And in the meantime, Beyond Gaming was able to pick that kill so easily because they knew where the Vi was. It was an all-in situation for BYG. If you catch someone out in the middle of nowhere, it's just a full chase. And both of these J-Team checks here have been really suboptimal. They've been checks where if they go in, they just die if the enemy jungler is there. And what do you know? Both times Husha definitely was there.
2 ganks, 2 kills, and early game not looking too rough for Beyond, but J-Team, they really need Konge to ding 6 and then get somewhere on the map because they are losing a lot of pressure. 1,000 gold the difference at the moment.
Yep. And, you know, through all of that, Ninja's actually been having a great time in this mid lane. There's no jungle pressure. Naturally, he does outrange Talia here, and we are seeing Ninja actually win his lane. You know, when that happens, it usually means Beyond Gaming's off to a great start. Here is the most important junction of the game, to see if J-Team can actually make their composition work. We've laid it out so many times, but it's just kill Minji, you rush in, seize and desist, use the seismic shove, you kill him, and then you move bot lane. See if they can pull it off.
It's a telegraph, but they're going to have to make it play. It's going to be some decent ward coverage by Beyond, though, to try and see this one coming. You can see even a ward behind the Dragon Pit. Konge's still level 5 here.
You know, it's definitely normal for him, but, you know, we'll see how he can play this one.
There we
Once
go.
he dings up to level 6. I think Beyond Gaming is going to be starting to place wards on both sides here instantly. Konge already heading for this play. This should be super obvious, but we'll see if Konge can make it work.
There we go. He's going to Vault Breaker into the C-Send assist. Nice combo. Minji didn't really have too much of a chance to walk away. Burns his flash a little too late. It was a nice shockwave, but here we go. Looking for clockwork. Let's see what they do here. They just get that wave cleared down, and they actually move topside, opting for the Herald instead.
Yeah, that's going to be a decent win for them if they're able to take it. However, Fiora is going to be coming down into the river first, and Minji does have a TP, so yeah, actually looking at the play, they weren't able to get anything done off of that. I almost feel like J-Team would have gotten more if they headed bottom side.
Okay. Yeah, you can see that immediately J-Team started backing away on bot. Lil V and Enzo going under tower. I think that was a full telegraph too. It's like, oh, this is exactly what's happening. So, yep, they lose out on the pressure. Does mean that Husha can actually start this for free himself.
Yeah, he's going to be super happy with this one. And we have to remember, Herald is big. So trading 1 kill for Herald, that definitely goes in favor of Beyond Gaming. 200 extra, a local gold here. So I feel like J-Team are just playing with a lot of jitters. I still maintain that they should have just went straight bot lane. Would have punished that pushing lane on the side of Wako. Instead, they go top. They do absolutely nothing, and Beyond Gaming actually comes out ahead.
Yeah, jitters is a good way to put it right now. I think this is a team that should be looking stronger, should be playing with more confidence, but they're playing cautiously. They're trying to play for what should be a safe thing, but it's getting sniffed out. It's being seen by Beyond Gaming. Not only good ward coverage, but good game sense from the squad, who are just playing above, in all honesty, playing above the pay grade. But I feel like that's something that Beyond have always been able to do. They can match just about any opponent. And here they are again, off to a pretty solid start, especially with Lee Kai. Not only that, getting themselves the Herald that wasn't able to be secured by J-Team as they now shift their attention down towards this Dragon.
So J-Team do have a decided numbers advantage here, but they don't know that Husha isn't here. So they're trying to wait around, and Beyond Gaming are not, they're not going to walk over. This is a waste of time.
This is the caution.
They should have just started the Drake, or they should have tried to cover the top side here, but doing neither, yeah, like you're saying, they're just kind of dithering their advantage.
All right. So with that finished, they take a little bit of time and actually start to ping down into the jungle, but split focus. Yeah, I don't like this one bit. They are really taking a long time to do anything, and it's brought enough time for the cavalry to arrive. If this gets sniffed out by Beyond Gaming, this Dragon could turn into a massacre.
I still think they should be able to finish it. If you look at Minji, he's just not able to join this one. And they have the bottom lane across the board. But Husha is coming in for Uniboy.
Alright, throw down the Unraveled Earth. Flashes. Hongye not just able to get out of range of Kino. And that does end in a whole lot of nothing. So J-Team do get that dragon, but they spend a lot of time doing it.
Yeah, they still find it in the end, mainly off of the bot lane push that they had here. Little V, you know, is basically had an earlier back here on the board right now. But this is going to be Beyond Gaming's turn to strike back. And it does look like they could be looking for a 3v2 into a Herald. So J-Team have to play this incredibly safe. And indeed, they are going to rotate a lot of members down.
They do that. This time, the safety pays off quite well. They're able to find a couple of wards, and Beyond knew this was happening. So, chase away's there. Gold Game's still in favor of Beyond by about 1,000 at this point. Wards have been making all the difference in trying to sniff the plays out. Will be just trying to find Kino Owaka with the cheeky Ultra Shock. Doesn't go anywhere.
I feel like for Beyond Gaming, their next play is probably just drop the Herald top lane. You know, Lee Kai already has that mythic completed. You want Lee Kai to be as fed as possible. It's really a race against this Fiora late game, so just try to make that one happen. And, you know, for now, I feel like Beyond Gaming are actually playing this one quite comfortably. It's almost 14 minutes. They haven't allowed Uniboy to really snowball this. Talia, you know, the optimal play definitely would be Talia finds a kill mid lane, goes bottom lane, and then takes all of the tower plating. So, you know, it could still happen in the next 90 seconds. But for Beyond Gaming, it's a very simple game. Just drop the Herald top whenever you get the chance and start to roam bottom lane. Make sure that whatever play happens, you're not able to get too much out of it.
I think Beyond really know that J-Team have a more cautious mentality. I think they've been able to really abuse that knowledge.
Yeah.
And I think this is liability for J-Team, is that they've just gotten themselves mind gamed. This draft, this is much better draft, but just their approach to the game. The safety, sometimes you want to go fast and loose. You want to go to the ground and try to just go for the flip fights because you can win, because you can outlast. You have to trust in your abilities, and they seem like they're not quite trusting right now. I think that's going to make the difference if they can turn things around.
Do have the Herald, and interesting enough, they're actually dropping it into the mid lane. This is, I didn't really expect the mid being dropped right here. I don't think it matters for the Orianna as much, because at the end of the day, Ori can't leave the lane anyway, especially against the Fiora and threat up to Leah. So interesting choices being thrown here, but it could just be a case of Fiora actually not being able to push up into the top lane all that much. But they're gonna drop it mid and try to find a play bottom.
Yeah, Rock has stabilized a little bit. I think that's made a little difference there. Beyond might be sniffing for something. Lil V is isolated down on the bottom, but they don't really have anybody in position, so that's just going to be it. Plates are about to fall. Last minute one won't be completed. And the gold game's still in favor of Beyond, still growing just a little bit, but not much, as Rock looks to try and set up a bit of a freeze. Forces out that riposte proc. And no plates gained by J-Team this game.
No. So if I'm Beyond Gaming, I'm pretty happy with that result overall. I do feel like they do have this scaling edge when it comes to this game, and right now they almost have a 2,000 gold advantage here. So, you know, J-Team still need to find something with that Vi to Leah. I think one kill onto Minji definitely not really enough to justify things right now, and we are going to get the Hextech Drake, which I think is the most powerful Drake that we have right now. The 9% CDR and the 9% attack speed are just, I think the stats are bonkers. There's no way that those stats should be that high. And this is probably our most contested Drake on 12.14. They go for that one, but looks like
for a play up top, though.
Make Herald.
Kongye looking for the opener. They will be able to get this finisher as he flashes moves and ceases end assists. That's going to be the level 11 dinged for Rock. Should open up Herald now for the J-Team side. Nicely executed.
Yeah, good find on their part, and they could still decide if they want to have some time to contest on the bottom side. Looks like they're just going to all in onto Herald for this one, and they will have the numbers advantage. In the meantime, Beyond Gaming going to go for the Hextech Drake instead. And, you know, the second Herald is interesting because the second Herald on 12.14 does have 75% extra HP. So if you want to, you can make a very strong push, but it has to be sustained. It has to be supported.
They're going for it.
if you only
doing it right
take
now.
the first tower, like if you only go for a tower after the plates are down, it's not really worth it. You have to go for the second charge as well.
And you can see that Beyond are recognizing this. They're going to send Kino up to try and stop this. But with Uniboy, Kongi, and Enzo, I think they have a chance to get that second charge off. Lee Kai waiting and baiting in the brush. Now the dragon has gone down. No, they let it go. I don't think they expected him to be there. The trade fizzles.
Well, I would say that's definitely a win for Beyond Gaming then. You get the Bex, Drake, and you also get the bottom side. J-Team, they backed off too early. They really need to get that second charge and make things work.
These guys need to be afraid to not be afraid to throw a few punches. I mean, they've got a Vi on their team. Vi is all about punching and sometimes getting punched. If you watch Arcane, they need to get a little more aggressive like that, Clement.
Yeah, I really don't think these trades have been working out. Beyond Gaming, you know, they don't mind playing with the 2 long lanes. They are the team that has the more catch potential on the side lanes anyway. So
yeah,
I feel like, you know, they're perfectly happy with this lane setup. It's going to be interesting to see how J-Team play this. They do still have very, very strong catch. I think that's something that they could do and just throw onto Minji's way. Minji without the cleanse, very easy target, and even with the cleanse, pretty easy to take down, but we'll see what they try to do here as J-Team are just going to be trading sides. Not sure about this one because it does accelerate Lee Kai a little bit too fast than I would like.
He's going to be able to get that tower easily, uncontested. Uniboy not nearly as fast. In fact, may not even be able to do it on this wave. I think he will eventually. There it goes. But meanwhile, Beyond just have the jump. They're going to be able to get 2 for 1 in this mid lane, finishing off the job that their first Herald started a while ago. So the map's nice and opened up. 3 towers to 2. J-Team still putting up a lot more of a fight this game than in the opener, but it is Beyond Gaming with a much better sense of the map, a much better sense of where and when to strike overall. J-Team are going to be left with trying to catch up.
I feel like what J-Team should be doing instead of trading with outright on the map is actually trying to force engages. You want to slow the Fiora down by making decisions hard for her. You want her to be teleporting into 5v5s, trying to save the rest of the team while you just bludgeon the rest of them. And you want to use that Vi and that Talia. No, these are not champions that outscale their counterparts. So overall, I'm not too impressed with J-Team's macro. I feel like they've just they gave Beyond Gaming some options, and Beyond Gaming were like, sure, we'll handshake on this. This is terrific for us. You mean no action and just trade bottom side for top lane? Sure, that'd be great. You want to try Herald for this bottom side?
Whoop.
We'll do it.
They get spotted as the retreat goes in. Rock throws out the hopeful ice bullet, doesn't find a target. It's the long setups that don't pay off.
Yeah. That was a good move. The problem was execution was just a little bit off. So I respect that from J-Team.
5 members, though. Beyond know that this is free push for Lee Kai up topside, and all they have to do is run J-Team around. Rock's going to get back up there, but you know, Lee Kai, if he catches him in the right position, might be able to solo him down, throws that ward. J-Team know this. They bring Uniboy as well, try and protect the blue buff.
Fine off of this push, but if you look at the CS, you know, Lee Kai has been getting basically so many free waves off of this one. They're finally going to try and stop him after this push.
Here we go. Weaver's wall up. Lee Kai gets bumped on it. Vault Breaker going over the wall. They'll get that blue smite down. Ceases and desists yet again. Lee Kai should know he's a dead man as his flash is right about to come up and does not spend it. Question is, what happens here for Beyond on the opposite side?
And this could be a chance for J-Team to actually bait around Baron here. They are setting up for Minji.
Oh, I like this.
He has that TP.
Yeah, right on Baron spawn. They know that Husha is available for that smite fight, the 50-50, but without Lee Kai there, that changes things quite a lot. At the moment, Husha would be looking for a steal potentially, as it's already down to about 4,000. They turn for the fight. They look for Kino. Oh, but that's going to be the 2-man shockwave denying the kills. J-Team are chased away. And they get nothing.
Huge play there by Minji. If he wasn't able to get that one off and the engage happened, J-Team would be able to just turn around and keep on snowballing the members right there. I almost felt like J-Team could have stayed on the Baron a little bit longer.
Yeah.
They were in such a healthy position, and the Baron was already down to half HP. I felt like they could have baited that just a bit more, but they went around, pulled the trigger early, and they weren't able to follow up after the Glacial Prison, which means, Beyond Gaming pretty happy to just take this one away.
This is yet again an example of what we've seen in the J Team jitters, right? Like at the moment, they seem to be playing with a little bit underconfident, a little bit either too quick or too slow to pull the trigger on something. And I don't think they're like not on the same page. It's not a communication issue. It's just a confidence issue. You're the third seed. You need to act like it.
Absolutely. I do think they're just playing with a bit of fear here and there and overthinking things that I don't think they really need to be. They had that 5v4 around Baron anyway. Like, there was a chance for a smite steal, but you could hold it at 2,000 and then turn it around. So, kind of interesting to see J-Team playing this way. But now they really need to push things a little bit more. I feel like Beyond Gaming are on the cusp of just getting to that 2-item Fiora. It's going to be really difficult to stop. Same thing with the Orianna scaling as well. You remember, if you have that Ori just go in on the invisible Wukong and you one-shot Little V, that's the team fight instantly over. And it's very hard to stop that from happening. You can't really anticipate where Husha is going to be coming in from. So I just feel like J-Team, they do need to have a couple more fights where they win, where the game isn't already into the 35-minute mark, where if you lose just one engage, then the game could be over. So I think they need to get
something off their fights. They need to actually get objectives out the back of it instead of just, oh, maybe will they, won't they?
Yeah, they've been able to make picks, but not anything afterwards, which is, I think, exactly goes to your point here. And like, I want to see what they can do with Uniboy. He's had some really good Weaver's wall so far, but they haven't been frequent enough, honestly. I think they could throw a couple more Weaver's wall into Ninji's way. He doesn't have a flash here. He's quite easy to pick off, and he is pushing far onto the top side. So JT, I either got to bait something onto this top side or just try to cut anyone off who's past river.
Yeah, maybe they can bait the Baron out again, try and draw Lee Kai into one of those situations you're talking about, the uncomfortable situations. But without the, knowing that the Herald can, or the Skullcrab can sniff a lot of that stuff out, again, J-Team get a little bit of cold feet. They question what they were going to do here, and Lee Kai just continues to push down the line. Brock can hold him at bay for a little while longer, but that is the 2-item Fiora.
And, the 2-item with the Ravenous Hydra really starts to become the point where Lee Kai can just shove without fearing the 1v1 against Rock anymore. He's always guaranteed to win that one. Of course, he still needs to be careful for the rest of the members. He does back off afterwards, but he's well on his way to just being able to solo split push and start to take over the game. Especially on 3rd or 4th items, it's not much you can do against the Fiora anymore. So J-Team are playing very much on a clock here, and they don't have the Drake stacking necessarily. This is going to be really tough. I feel like the next fight for J-Team, they need to have a big win here. Not just the objective. They actually need to get multiple kills.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here we go.
Looking for that one. And, oh, Keto denies Kongye. How could you cease and desist when you are made of gold?
Oh, boy.
Oh, I love that. What a denial. Even with the Zhonya's, too.
I will say the timing is actually not bad here from J-Team. They throw out a catch, they get the flash, and they're going to have everything up by the time the next Drake does come up. So if you wanted to try something like that, that was exactly the timing that you would go for. So all in all, not a terrible attempt from J-Team.
Yeah, no, I'm glad they're making plays here, but they are starting to run a little out of time, and as they all back away, the Baron pit gets crowded on by Beyond Gaming, who've just done such a stellar job of denying vision and getting their own. Like, yeah, Kino doesn't sniff that one, like, can't get 100%, but they have kept J-Team in the dark. And a J-Team in the dark is a J-Team that's scared.
Absolutely. They've been playing that way for this entire series, I've got to say. And now we are going to go into the next Drake. I feel like Beyond Gaming, the way they play this is actually to make sure that they still have the mid the mid control, because what J-Team can do and what Beyond Gaming have to be aware with is if Beyond Gaming overcommit onto the Mountain Drake, then they could actually just Weaver Wall, lock them into Mountain, and then head for Baron itself. So I feel like the most important thing for Beyond Gaming is actually just mid lane control. The objective itself doesn't matter all that much. You just want to make sure J-Team can't trade away to Baron.
You can see them waiting around the side. Both teams staring each other down. Lee Kai not on the side lane this time, would be committing for the fight, and he does back away. Dragon about to come up. Mega Man Beyond Gaming are going to try to draw J-Team into the river themselves. Keep your eyes on Minji for the Shockwave, on Husha for the Cyclone. That'll be the killer combo. As Wako gets caught into the... Oh, big
He's
combo!
down.
They get the shutdown, and here goes that hostile takeover. Husha gets clapped on by it as they just look for the finisher, but Minji takes Kongye out of this one. It's still anybody's fight as it turns back and forth. Lil V too low. Shut down by Minji. The second wind effort from Mega Bank Beyond Gaming is coming up huge as Uni Boy forced to flash, trying to deny Lee Kai, but no, he will not be, as 3 kills coming from Minji, and they will claim the fight. Beyond Gaming cleaning it up.
No, what was J-Team doing? They had a massive lead, taking out Wako on the other side. They had both objectives up, but Little V overchases. He goes alone right into the side of Beyond Gaming, and they just kill the AD carry in return. As easy as that. They're going to take Baron off of this.
That's huge. It's massive right now, and J-Team can get absolutely nothing off of it. They have a Sejuani and a Renata. You're not getting any more objectives. You can't flip on that dragon, and instead they lose everything. Oh, Clement, I feel like they're taking all the wrong lessons away from everything. Look at this. They finally get aggressive. They pull the trigger.
Yeah.
They find Wako on a bad move and pin him to the wall, and it's brilliant. What a combo. And then Lil V.
What are you doing,
He
Little V?
chases
You don't need to go for the enemy jungle.
You're by
It's not
yourself.
necessary. They actually just dropped 2 kills right afterward. That was completely unnecessary. You know, Kongre over chases on that one, and Little V too as well. They just lose their minds on that. And I have to say, this series has been so far underneath J-Team standards. I don't know what's wrong with them. But Beyond Gaming are going to be very happy to pick up the 3rd Drake and now move on to potential Dragon Soul.
You know, I have long wondered what the J and J team stands for, Clement. I think it's jitters.
Probably is.
That's unfortunate. This team is looking not so confident. Let's see if they can get some of that back for themselves as they look to hunt down Lee Kai. Vault Breaker not going to connect there, and you can see they're just kind of a token effort. Beyond Gaming, they know they've got the Baron. They've got the opportunity to just pick up even more here, and they could be well on their way to match points soon.
Oh boy, did not expect our 3rd seed to come out of the gates in this rough of a condition. Beyond Gaming, they're the scaling team composition. They've got 3 Drakes. They're up 6k. You know, all they need to do here is just keep on split pushing and take away the Mountain Drake. Either J-Team full commits the Drake, or Beyond Gaming, they get massively fed on the Fiora. Like it's a no-lose situation for Beyond Gaming, if I'm being completely honest here.
And Minji's gotten fed himself. Remember, that triple kill, that pretty much just straight up buys him the Everflame in that situation, I think, because he picked that up afterwards. He's just going to be doing a lot of damage as well. I mean, Orianna, you don't think of as a champion to just pop off, but the burst is still strong. And yeah, with a pretty fat gold bounty, going to present a very juicy target. It's going to be harder and harder for J-Team to deal with. Lee Kai can continue this 4-1 and just be a complete pain.
J-Team has to
in
go
J-Team's side.
Just go now, J-Team. Come on.
Got to make a play. They're not doing it. What do we put you in, Coach Clement?
Put me in? Look, I'd be so bad as these players. Like, even if I made all the correct macro calls, we'd still lose the game. So, definitely not a good idea here, but what I'm saying about J-Team is because they're facing that Mountain Dragon Soul coming up next, it's actually in their interest to have a big fight here right now. You know, you win a big fight, you take back map control, and you wrestle a lot of that control back. You make sure you don't have to put yourself in a position where Lee Kai can split with the rest of the team and Beyond Gaming threaten Mountain Soul at the same time. Without them pulling the trigger, it's so easy for Beyond Gaming to set up a no-lose situation. Like, 4-man on the Drake, 1-man on top lane. If someone catches Lekai, it's fine, we get Soul. If someone doesn't go for Lekai, then Lekai gets super fed. Continues to go on to that death stance. No loss either. So, I really feel like J-Team, you know, they're being a little bit timid there. They had to go in that situation. They didn't go for it. And now Beyond Gaming, it's really easy for them to play the map out.
Yeah, and credit where it's due. I mean, this, as much as we bemoaned J-Team just not taking plays when they should have and taking plays when they shouldn't have.
There's a good chance.
Yeah, Beyond Gaming have just been really, really well. And the early game was stellar from this team. They identified the threats on the J-Team side, shut them down for the most part. Husha did exactly what he needed to do, did Husha things. Got the bottom lane and the top lane, a couple of ganks themselves. Minji played it out safe, and Minji, you know, for all we talked about this being a mismatch in favor of Uniboy, Minji has now twice in a row just completely outlaned Uniboy and had a much better impact in the game, knowing what he needs to do with this team. It's feeling like he's pretty buoyed by the patch, but also by his own play and his own teammates around him.
Yeah, and this is one of the greatest things about Minji is that, you know, we've been saying throughout the entire split, if he just plays like a B+ control mage, that's usually enough for Beyond Gaming to actually win. Like, it's a lot worse for Beyond Gaming when he's stuck on things like Akali, but if he's willing to just pick an okay control mage, a lot of times their composition looks really strong. And I have to say, with the way things are looking, I'm going to make a bold prediction. If Beyond Gaming win this game, it's going to be a 3-0. I do not see J-Team coming back in their current mental state.
I think this is the thing the tilt is made of. I agree with you. You know, I predicted J-Team to win the whole split, but not if they're going to be playing like this.
And it's a good thing that Beyond Gaming do have the J-Team do have the waves shoved out. So I do want to commend them on this. What they did was they sent everyone to the top side. They pushed it out and made sure Beyond Gaming doesn't get to have a 4-1 setup. So the wave is out. It's in no threat of hitting a tower. They don't need to defend it. And that calls Beyond Gaming into the bottom side 4v4, which does give J-Team, with their front to back, a chance to actually win it. They will have to fight the 5v5. There's no escaping this. You're not going to win the game if the enemy gets the Mountain Soul. But hey, at least you don't put yourself in a position to lose out on both sides.
That's true. You know, closing the gap with that hook. This is Soul Point for Beyond Gaming. J-Team cannot give it up. Weaver's Wall is available for Uniboy. J-Team proc this Mountain. Objective bounty would be good for them, and Beyond, they back away. I mean, they don't have to fight this. They can just go next when it comes right back on up, so Husha sniffs around. I think the collapse is coming, however, as the Weaver's Wall is out. The smite not going to get stolen, but he does manage to get that knock up before he bails out. Not a whole lot of risk taken by Beyond to try and contest it, but J-Team keeping themselves alive, Clement, but Baron's on the menu for Beyond.
The ultimate pop just to get into Baron a little bit faster. I don't think they can burn it down necessarily, but there's no tools on J-Team to actually get into position anymore.
No, this is going fast enough, actually. It's about 6,000 already.
Yeah,
and yeah, J-Team, no, they're not going to stop this one. Already out of there. If nothing else, they can try to find a tower in mid, but they go and sniff into the 5-stack, and I think that's a mistake. Here's Lekai to cut them off. And it's going to be Rock. Just, Arctic Assault dodging away. However, here comes the grand challenge. Issued. Rock down. So low here. They will turn for Lekai right now, but even though he's bought a bit of time in the stasis, doesn't go down there. Beyond Gaming on the push. 5-member strong with the Baron. You need Rock to back and get healthy again. This will be one heck of a hold if they do it.
It does look like the inhibitor might be going down here, as we already have Waka starting on that. Yep, and it's gone already. Beyond Gaming with a really nice play, just hurting J-Team around. And I think J-Team kind of miscalculated by backing right there. Gave Beyond Gaming the time necessary to go straight for Baron. I love the no hesitation pop of Sivir Ultimate just to walk there. And also the trap afterwards gives them all the priority they need with the mid inhibitor. And you know, if you calculate that, that's going to be just in time for them to shove the mid and go for the Mountain Drake at the same time. So the timers here do line up for Beyond Gaming for a very strong next play.
Yeah, not only are they clutch performances, but they're just clutch decision-making. Beyond Gaming very clearly came in with a plan today, very clearly knows the timing windows around the map, and I don't know what J-Team was studying for right now, but it certainly wasn't this test.
Oh, yeah. I mean, J-Team, when it comes to the late game, the thing here is that Talia, I would say, is a much weaker champion compared to the rest of the targets here. I do like the fact that Uniboy already has the stopwatch, though. That's going to be absolutely critical. I think Uniboy is the easiest target to snipe out in this composition here, so he definitely is going to need that one. For Beyond Gaming, game plan very simple. Run out the timer. You're still going to have mid inhibitor. Push mid. And make sure you bunch up and not give a chance for Minji to actually split you off with the Weaver's Wall. As long as you do that, they should be very comfortable in position on top of the Mountain Soul. And that's going to force J-Team to break in with the Sejuani. I'm not sure they can do it at this point.
Yeah, the fight's been tough. Now they're going to try for the collapse. Keep your eyes on Husha around the side. That's a hostile takeover. They're going to be some flashes. They will manage to get a wombo of a combo down as they shut Wako out of this fight. But the teleport's coming through, and they have to back into the safety of the base. Lee Kai gets a riposte on safety. He's granted. Uniboy, though, caught out, isolated. They just don't have the damage to finish the job. And now in a 4v4 that still favors Beyond, despite the low health bars. They dance, duck, dip, dive, dodge away. Lee Kai going low, but they need the finisher. They need the fights. Gongye's had to go back to base because look at the supers.
Big fight for J-Team anyway. They get Wako. You know, they burn the Ghost here, and they're still going to be up for the Mountain. So, very nice contest.
Husha?
And Husha, he might have overchased.
Yeah, they popped the Guardian Angel here, and Kino, he's dancing on the edge of it here. That's going to be the come up, and he just gets away. Oh, the dredge line denial, but they turn for Minji again. The shockwave. Lil V gets a bailout. He's going to die anyways, and now Rock looks for the chase, but they bait themselves in. Oh, it was dancing on the edge, but J-Team, it looks like it will end with a whimper in this game, too.
Oh, the back end of that was completely unnecessary, and that's 44 seconds. This 5v4 is going to be so difficult to actually hold on. I almost feel like unless Talia catches someone in, it's going to be over.
Okay, Beyond aren't going to end it here. They realize it may not be the best move. They could turn things around. Death timers are high on both sides. Even with the huge lead, J-Team, they get a fight, a miracle, something they needed, but they overchase again. Let's see that replay from the start.
Yeah, this was a beautiful angle down onto Wako. They get the spell shield. They kill him immediately. But unfortunately, I feel like Uniboy goes way too far into the backline. He actually traps himself in that position. Not terribly well played here. And, you know, in the back end, we just saw that Little V close to getting a lot of kills. They do find the GA, the flash from Lee Kai. But at last, he gets tagged by Minji. Wasn't able to get the speed up here. And I feel like this was just comboed incorrectly from J-Team. I want to see if they, you know, technically they should have had the bailout on Little V as he chased forward. He already had the red buff onto that one, but yeah, they did have the correct sequence, but not enough to kill Minji.
In that replay, Minji had an entire full cooldown reset of his shockwave. Managed to get 2 off, and that's why he did 7k damage. Lil V couldn't quite close it. After that, we saw in the picture-in-picture, Beyond Gaming secured themselves the Mountain Soul. So this game just went from very hard to hold on to your butts, because J-Team are going to need to ride this one out.
Yeah, there's almost no chance for the crown of the Shattered Queen to be popped here by Minji. So he's going to be incredibly safe. He's not a viable target for Kongyue. Kongyue once again has to find Wako, and to his credit, he's actually been able to snipe out Wako twice. It's just that both times, Little V dies almost straight afterwards. So, you know, if J-Team can actually clean some of these fights up, they have a really good chance. It's just, I don't know what's happened with Uniboy and Little V. They've just been, they've just not pulled their weight in terms of these fights afterwards.
No, that has been the issue. Don't expect the team, some of the team stars to be underperforming the way they have been, especially after the last week of regulation. But Beyond Gaming, Baron Live, immediately make a beeline for it. This is one of the reasons, I think this game has been a masterclass in why Beyond Gaming have such incredible neutral objective control. It's because they just understand their timing windows so well.
There's no hesitation here. They set up the forehand. And, you know, compare this to J-Team. I feel like J-Team, like, overthink a lot of their Drake plays. They try to fish for picks a little bit too much. They kind of They kind of hesitated on the Baron and on the earlier Drake as well, wasted a lot of time here and there. Compare that to Beyond Gaming. They understand, okay, what's our objective here? Do we want to rush it? Sure, we'll rush it. Do we want to just herd J-Team across the map with this objective and go for something bigger? Sure, we'll pull that trigger as well. So I think, you know, if J-Team can play a little bit more like Beyond Gaming, we might still have a series on our hands, but it's looking really, really tough at this point with Beyond Gaming already 10,000 gold ahead of the curve.
Yeah, it's a 41-minute game at this point, so it's definitely been a lot longer and a lot closer than the last one, but that isn't saying much. With the Soul, with the Baron, it does mean that J-Team just need to hang on, but the game plan for Beyond Gaming has always been run the clock out. It's fine. This Fiora may not have gotten snowballed out of control, but guess what? Minji did, and that is just as bad when you're trying to go into a 5v5. Late game Orianna, one of those champions that can absolutely destroy your day.
If you look at the itemization here, Beyond Gaming are just making sure that nobody falls down. They already have massive amounts of damage coming from their composition. I feel like all 4 positions at this point do more damage, and they have GAs across on everyone. Even Kino has his Zhonya's. So J-Team not only has to kill someone, they have to kill them twice in order to equalize out some of the damage difference here. They're going in for it, starting on Kino.
They find him. However, the turnabout comes pretty quickly here as all the tools have been spent. The teleport going to be procced by Lee Kai. The hostile takeover, they turn it around, but Enzo drops immediately as stock in Glask Industries is falling, and so are the remaining members of J-Team here. Only Lil V remaining in Uniboy, and I don't know for how much longer as that inhibitor gets taken down. The damage is real. The flash is forced. Weaver's wall comes out, but it doesn't cut off a darn thing here, as that turret will drop the Nexus laid bare. Beyond Gaming, an easy peasy end to game 2 as they go up to match point.
Wow, did not expect this one. You know, everyone had J-Team as the favorites coming in here. 3rd seed against 6th seed. First round of playoff. But J-Team, I don't know. They had great starts to the team fights. We saw in both critical fights, they actually killed Wako before Wako even did damage. But both times they had key members, Uniboy and Little V, just going into the enemy comp and dying needlessly. You know, just making massive mechanical misplays. The objective fights have also just been disappointing from J-Team. You know, they gave over the Baron unnecessarily in this fight. They didn't anticipate the other Baron being taken away on the other side of the map here. Actually, they gave over the Herald, excuse me. So I just feel like J-Team, what they need to do right now is, first off, they need to take a very deep breath, and they need to say, okay, Beyond Gaming, they're good. They are really a strong team, and we have to get on their level. We have to play a normal game, but if we play our standard best, we're still better than Beyond Gaming. I truly do believe. I had J-Team all the way into the finals, and actually representing as the 1st seed. That might have been a massive mistake. But well, I still do trust
worse
in
than
them.
me, man. No, I agree with you, but this is not the J-Team that we were expecting, right? This is a team that's playing scared. This is a team that is hesitating, and when they're not hesitating, they're going in far too fast and far too deep. And I think that's the issue, is it feels like they're getting into desperate situations because they're overthinking, and then they underthink. So they're misfiring on both ends of the spectrum, and that's the issue right now. You called it. They just need to calm down.
Yeah, and I think what J-Team need to do right now is, okay, look, you know, late game, I actually feel like Beyond Gaming actually just play the late game far better than you do. What J-Team needs to do is hard focus and just play a standard red side, win lane, win game. That's all they need to do. And I think going on to the red side will do them wonders, because they can't anticipate what Lee Kai is going to pick. I feel like Rock, you know, if he gets that chance to get a counter pick against Lee Kai, he's not going to be suffering this much. You're not going to have that timer over your head. You know, you see a Fiora come in, you just counter pick with a Jax or something. You know, you don't have to put yourself into that position where you're working against the call.
I want to see that red side change up as well and see what we can do for game number 3. But right now, J-Team, they need to get their heads back on straight. They need to just be able to execute, and they need to be able to play the early game more actively, and maybe take away some of these more impactful champions. Although, apparently, yeah, you're not super worried about Minji anymore, because he just plays the safe Orianna game. I don't think you're going to win through the snowballing mid, but you can certainly try to do something on the top or on the bottom. Beyond Gaming certainly came in with game plan that has just been so much more successful than what J-Team have tried to bring here, and this was a much closer game but as I said before, it doesn't really mean much in the end as well. So, Clement, for this J-Team squad, I think it has been a surprise to just about everybody, but I do want to shout out our very own Nightstar, who had predicted the Beyond Gaming win. Perhaps he is in fact the prophet, the genius. I'm not bowing down just yet, but you know what? If this is 3-0 for Mega Bank Beyond Gaming, I think we're going to need to put that man up on a pedestal. So
I just want to say, just because he got this one correct does not mean Frank are representing PCS to Worlds. I want to make that very clear, okay? I think that's still a massive long shot, but it does start from here. You know, if somehow Frank gets every single prediction correct, it will start from here.
Yeah, we got to see this again. The only one who
in.
believed in Beyond Gaming. We were all J-Teamers at the end of the day. You, me, Rirachu, Hysterics. Nah, Nightstar's like, none of that. Throw that out the window. We're gonna Mega Bank Beyond Gaming this one up. And you know what? So far, he's definitely looking pretty happy. But yeah, I don't think we could have expected the way J-Team are playing today.
I do want to give a massive shout out to Minji though. I feel like Minji has been a huge reason why they're so far ahead, because he's basically been able to pull out 2 champions he never played in regular split and just go like, hey guys, remember, I actually can play this. You know, it might not be my S+ tier champion, but I can still, you know, hand in a B+ here and just be absolutely fine. And that's exactly what Beyond Gaming has needed all throughout the split.
As we've been praising like Lee Kai's development as a player and you know, Hush's consistency in the early game and Wako and Kino just being solid in lane, I think Minji absolutely deserves a mention for his ability to just play safe against strong opponents. Like, he's effectively neutralized Uniboy's early game, and that's something that was a big problem for J-Team opponents most of the split. Beyond Gaming really came together in the last couple weeks, especially that second round robin, and it really, really shows that they just are on the same page 100% of the time. This team may not always make the optimal correct decision, but they always do it together. They always have zero hesitation. This team has absolutely no latency between all of their brains, and that is brilliant to watch. I do think that that's what makes this team so strong.
And that's why I think Beyond Gaming, if they get a late game draft, they will not lose. Because they're just way too coordinated at this point. It looks like their chemistry and their confidence is sky high. I don't think J-Team can touch them in that regard. So it does have to come down to hardwired muscle memory for J-Team. If J-Team want to win, they go red side, they go counter pick, and you know, they just go for a standard win lane, win game type of scenario. They allow themselves to go wild and just style on their opponents. If you look across the board here, a couple of reminders everywhere. In terms of stats, Uniboy far superior to Minji. In terms of the bottom lane, a small lead there onto Little V compared to Wako as well. So if they just play the way they normally do and make it about mechanics, I feel like they still can get decent leads, especially with counter.
I agree 100% of the way. There were a lot of chances for them to come back into this game as well. It just got pretty out of hand after a while, and Kino's going to be earning the MVP award. We've been talking about Minji a lot, but like, everybody is doing their job. Kino had a good one this time around, although I do think this could be a little controversial. I think there was a lot of different strengths on the rest of this roster at different points of the game.
If there's one thing about, I think Kino that he's been doing really well, is that he's always found level 2 hooks onto Little V, regardless of the situation. I don't know how he does it, but that's just true. And
it's good
frankly, that's a huge thing. J-Team has not been able to snowball bottom side, which is their typical strategy.
Yeah, being able to neutralize that is quite massive. And now with the 2-0 match point, J-Team will have to find answers fast, or they'll be finding themselves in the losers bracket. Well, we'll find out which it's going to be right after this break.